Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. This is FPL Insight. I'm Gianni, the FPL guy, and I'm joined by football insider Dean Jones. Dean, how are you, my friend?
I'm okay, mate. Yeah, I'm okay. Obviously, my team is never okay these days, so a few frustrations from another game week. Mate, my decision making has just turned to pot. Absolutely, having won this season, everything I think is going to pay off doesn't. Yeah, I don't really know where I'm at this stage. Do you know, actually, tell you what stage I'm at? Earlier on, I was thinking, I've not really got anything to lose at this point in the season with this team. It's not like I'm going anywhere with this team. I might just take like a 20-odd point hit and just get a good team for the end of the season and just see what happens, because nothing bad can happen to me. And I just see like what kind of trajectory I get from there. I don't know what most points anyone has ever taken that plays this game at least semi-seriously. Not sure I'll actually go through with it, but that's where my head was at, mate.
Yeah, I feel your pain. I was in this place last season. It seems to be the more sort of left field I went, I sort of was taking high risks, and it just wasn't paying off. I was like digging myself a deeper hole. So I guess my advice a lot of the time is like keep calm and carry on. But at the same time, the big hits, guys, let us know in the chat, and thank you for joining us tonight. How many point hits you've taken in one go, and if that paid off? Like, have you ever taken a -12? Or a -16 and been up because of it the following week? But obviously a hit is for the long run, not just for that immediate week.
Yeah, I've done 8s. I mean, I've done a couple of 8s in my time. Usually one a season. I think I've gone for an 8 just to usually in a game week where I've got about 4 players playing, like I've got coming up next week, which is why I'm thinking of this. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Let us know, guys, and good to see you all back in the chat.
Yeah, Jasper's joining us. I think this is his first time watching. Jasper, you can watch us every Friday, every Monday at 7 p.m. Good evening to PSB as well, who joined us, I think, for the first time on Friday. FPL River is with us. He's asked if I've moved house. No, and the reason why my camera's a bit dodge, I'm in the Peak District, so hopefully my internet holds out. I think it's fine. Just perhaps
your second home, mate, is it?
Yeah, I'm in the holiday home. Yeah, I'm in the holiday home with crap Wi-Fi. So yeah, first time to the Peak District. It's lovely. I've been out for a long dog walk today and caught a bit of sun, which was quite nice. And then tomorrow I'm going to be, unfortunately, leaving the wife to stay here alone as I go and do some work with the Premier League. So I feel really guilty. I got that late call up about 2 hours ago, and it was just too good an opportunity not to go down to London. So I look forward to 8 hours in the car tomorrow.
Oh, that's a big one, mate. That's a big one. How did your team do, by the way? How were you looking last week?
Yeah, not too bad. Do you know what? With triple captain Salah, I was very nervous. So when he got the penalty, I was like, okay, this is huge. Score the penalty and you get a big boost. Miss a penalty, especially when he's your captain or triple captain, and you triple those minus points. So I was very, he usually puts it away, doesn't he? So very happy about that. And then he went off injured. I'm just hoping he's fit for, I think they play, is it Wednesday or Thursday night? He didn't train today. So hopefully Salah is fine for game 2. I mean, I don't think Klopp would risk him in training, and I'm sure they wheel him out because it's a big game against Arsenal.
That's it, exactly that. He doesn't need to train, really, does he? Like, they know the rhythms, they know the patterns of play. They just need Salah to be fit for that game. I know you've got a special treat for us on tonight's show, mate, too, and I'm talking there about taking a hit of -20 this week, but you're going to tell us what a free hit team might look like, eh?
I'm very excited to show you guys my draft free hit team. I don't know if I'm going to use my chip yet, but if I was, this is where I'd be going. But first, guys, let's have a look at our teams. Here we go, Dean. How's your week gone so far? 44 points. You did captain Salah. A few wins. Rafinha was so unlucky. He had an expected goal involvement of over 2, which is crazy, and only got the 1 assist.
He had a good game. A bit of bad luck in here. Broja is going. He's done, mate. He's never coming back in my team ever again. So I'll be bidding him farewell for the next game week. Calvert-Lewin will be packing his bags with him, I think. Cannot be trusted at all. To not even see him in the squad for that one was an absolute killer. And then Kilman's there sitting on the bench on 8 points, and I thought that he might get into the team. He's still, he might if Calvert-Lewin doesn't play in that Newcastle game, but let's wait and see. It was a bit of a frustrating one, really. Yeah, look, Jota's there with 1 point. Like, maybe he'll make up for it. He's just a bit meh, really.
Yeah, the Brozier one was unlucky. He came on at half time. Calvert-Lewin we don't know how long he's going to be out for. Doesn't look great. And Kilman, 8 points would have been so valuable. Again, I'm someone that's got Kilman on my bench and I've got a few 1-pointers in my team. And I'm just thinking, those 50-50 calls. But I really didn't expect Wolves to keep a clean sheet. And then he went and got bonus points as well.
Honestly, yeah. And this is why I'm just hoping that Calvert-Lewin now has an illness that does keep him out for this next. I'm not confident of that. I think Calvert-Lewin will play in that next game, at least figuring it. I mean, it's such a big game for Everton. I think if there's any chance of getting Calvert-Lewin out on the pitch, then they'll do it. But the way Everton are playing, I'm not confident if he does play, he's going to score. So, yeah, a bit of a nightmare, really.
Yeah, you just know he's going to get 5 minutes at the end or something.
Mate, the longer I'm looking at this, I think I'm going to take this big hit, I've got nothing to lose.
I don't mind it. I just wouldn't go massive on the game week 30 template, as we're going to see very shortly, because I don't know if those game week 30 players are ones you want long term. But I mean, yeah. But we are going to get a lot of doubles coming up as well, so maybe you can plan it around them when they come. Maybe
I might have to do a serious planning session for once and save my reputation, what's left of it.
I'll share my Excel template with you, mate.
Please, mate, just do it for the entire year next season.
Nuclear Atoms is saying he took a -8 to pay off a -8 or 12. Just pick good players in form. Don't take any punts. I've done that and it never paid off. Yeah, fair play, Nuclear Atoms. Although it's easier said than done often that. Panita said he got Hwang for King and he went and got injured in the 16th minute. That's tough. And Hwang, of course, you're hoping is going to be fit for that game week 30, that blank team. Luke's got Seiss. Nice with the clean sheet points there for Roman Seiss. He's playing very well. Wolves are finally keeping cleanos.
Yeah, I think we need to get your team up, mate, because it's enough. We've spent enough time talking about my losers.
Here we go. 71 points. I'm very happy with, mate. I'm on a green arrow. I don't like to check my rank mid game week, but I must admit, as I'm kind of edging towards that top 10k, I think I'm on 11k at the moment. I am checking rank a lot mid game week, which can often be a little bit dangerous, setting yourself up for a fall. But guys, the big news tonight, if you haven't already seen, at 7 p.m, Cancelo does start for Man City. That's something I'm very happy with, because I would have got Luca Dean off my bench, who of course also went off injured and is a massive doubt for that game week 30. He would have got 1 point. So I'm hoping Cancelo can outperform Luca Dean's 1 point. And the front three there is Mahrez, Foden, Grealish for Man City. Again, Sterling misses out. But yeah, my team, I mean, Doherty was slightly disappointing. He got the 1 point. We'll speak more about Spurs United later. You were there, Dean. I'm keen to know your thoughts on that Spurs backline. But Kulusevski got a return. Salah, of course, and then Kai Havertz, like right at the end, he went and scored his wonder goal. And we'll speak more about Havertz later. But then he went and hit the bar 2 minutes later. Could have got double digits from Havertz. Kane with points, and Weghorst was really disappointing. Like 2 points, I expected a goal or two.
You might have to ditch him. I definitely thought he'd have returned more goals than he has at this point. And Burnley not really had the pick me up that I thought they were going to get on the back of having this run of games and so much to play for. So that's a strange one. But yeah, Cancelo in the team. I mean, the Man City team looks exactly as we predicted on Friday's show. So that's good news. Bit strange that Sterling has completely fallen out there, but I guess it's a credit to Jack Grealish for making that spot his own at the moment. It's, to be honest, I think Luke said it at the beginning of the chat. Pep Guardiola's been pretty good to us in FPL this season, and actually, they've been a team that's reasonably easy to predict. In terms of lineups, I'm finding United extremely hard. Chelsea's become very hard. Arsenal's got easier as the season's worn on. Tottenham, again, has been had to deal with a few things there. But yeah, I think City, of all the top 6 or 7 teams, actually one of the easiest to predict at the moment.
Yeah, I think, it's we didn't see it going that way.
No.
It's a really interesting one. I can't wait for the next 10 weeks. Like the run into the season is always fascinating, but there does seem like Arsenal were flying. Like I did just look at Arsenal and think, okay, where are we going there? Nuclear Atoms has got a great question, and quoting my good friend Ben Dinnery, who is a really good injury expert, and he said on his live YouTube stream earlier that Salah is more than likely to be out against Arsenal. Again, the information we've got isn't brilliant. We do know, and Ben is going, I guess, a lot off maybe some inside info, but also the fact that Salah didn't train today. But Salah seems the type, knowing the amount of games he's had recently and knowing he picked up a knock, he doesn't need to train to be ready to be in that match day squad. And I've got a sneaky suspicion he actually will be fit to start. I think Klopp needs him for that game. Title race is on. If it wasn't Arsenal, if they're playing Norwich, I don't think he'd be risked. But for Arsenal, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if Salah doesn't play. Like, if there's any chance, this early on, they're not going to make a call on it, I don't think, unless there's absolutely no chance. Just keep your eyes on those Liverpool reporters that get the steer on Salah. Chris Bascom and those guys. There's that little patch of 3 or 4 that always get the team news exactly the same time and all stick it out. So keep your eyes on them, I guess, because they'll be the ones breaking it. But yeah, if Salah's even got half a chance of being out there, they'll play him surely. Like, he'll figure, sure of it.
Yeah. It's funny that you say about the Liverpool team news, Dean, because as someone that doesn't have any contacts and just relies purely on Twitter, I often know there's some teams where we will get good leaks from. And United are one of those teams, but Liverpool are one of those teams. Like, we always get the leaks on Liverpool lineup before other teams. Like, there seem to be certainly some of the journos connected with the club are very well connected that they do get those leaks. So I always find, like, on FPL Twitter, you really do know that Liverpool, the big news quite often before FPL deadlines. I mean, for this week, it doesn't matter too much because the deadline went a fair few days ago. But they're one of those teams where you do get some good info on, right?
It was, yeah. And I think that's why people panicked so much the other day, though, wasn't it? When there was the talk, there was COVID in the camp, and Van Dijk wasn't playing, and because that spread like wildfire, and I think it put a lot of people off, and they were nervous going into that game. And then suddenly you see the lineup, and it's just as you would have expected if you'd never read any of those tweets. But that's the stage of the season we're at.
Yeah, exactly. Let's we'll move on. Firstly, before we do, and I'm very keen, guys, to talk to you more about my free hit team. Just joined by the Fantasy Football Social. That is Ed, guys, in the chat, and many of you, Nuclear Atoms and Luke, you'll know Ed is someone that I run Fantasy Football Fest with. That is our joint account, so do give that a hit and a subscribe later in the show. Ed, hello, mate. Hope you're well. Shall we have a look, though, at a team that I've put together, which is a 15-man squad. Now, this is going to be really good for those perhaps that are looking at free hitting. But even if you're not looking at free hit, there might be some players in my 15 that you want to be transferring in this week. So let's check out my free hit draft. Here we have it. Okay, so 15-man squad. I've started with Raya. Now, you might think, oh, Raya, can we really rely on Brentford? But what I'd say just to start us off on this round of fixtures is there's a handful of fixtures. There are no gimmies. We do not have Man City playing Norwich. We do not have Liverpool playing Burnley. And because of that, putting a team together is quite tricky. You know, Arsenal and Spurs, of course, are the standout teams. But we can only have 3 each of their players. So this team you're about to see will have 3 Arsenal, will have 3 Spurs. But remember, we're so limited there. And even their games aren't gimmies by any stretch. You know, Spurs, West Ham, Arsenal go to Villa Park. So I've gone Brentford here. Leicester play midweek in Europe, and I'm hoping they'll be tired. Even if Leicester score, I expect Raya to make some saves. So what do you reckon with Brentford defence, Dean? I mean, they have kept a clean sheet or 2 recently.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fine. Yeah, I like the way you're thinking. Again, like I was looking at those fixtures too, and there just aren't any obvious results for us to pick from out of the 4 games that are available to us. I think Raya is a very good goalkeeper. I think that when he wasn't there for Brentford, you could really tell, they just didn't have that guy that they could all rely on behind him, and they lost a lot of momentum at that point. Having Raya back, it's a different Brentford. Even if they do concede, there's a good chance he'll make saves. And this Leicester front line at the moment, anyway, I don't have that much faith in them, so I think it's a good get.
Yeah, guys, get your questions in because as soon as I've rattled through this 15-man squad, we'll get to all those answers. So Gabriel, I've gone for. This is instead of Ramsdale. I wanted one Arsenal defender or goalkeeper, and I just think Gabriel's set piece threat maybe gives him a little bit more of a higher ceiling, despite Ramsdale being a save points magnet. So I'm going for Gabriel at centre back, followed by in the back line. I've gone for a Spurs defender. Now, Spurs have been conceding goals, but I think Reguilón could still be a nice option. And Doherty, of course, is the guy that many of us in the community have bought recently, myself included. But he's only 1 game away from being dropped every time. And we just don't know how they're going to play against in the week. So Reguilón, I just feel like with Sessegnon out injured and not back until after the international break, we at least know he's going to start. So what do you reckon there, Dean? I mean, West Ham clean sheet last time out, but Spurs look like they're going to score goals at the moment, and there's attacking potential there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that, defensively, Tottenham aren't as resolute as you would have expected under a Conte team. But the thing, Reguilon, he gets forward so much, he puts in such dangerous balls in behind that I think he's definitely somebody to be looking at. West Ham, they're going to struggle at this stage of the season for depth to the squad. Obviously, Antonio, I think Cresswell, big doubts going forward for them. So they're two holes in the team they're going to have to cover. Absolutely. I think Reguilon, very good chance, especially at home, of getting some points on the board there.
Yeah, I've also gone for a Wolves defender in Sice. I just feel like we needed one Wolves defender, and it's hard to predict the fullbacks at the moment, isn't it? Like I thought Nori was going to start last time out, and Marcel went and got the start, and then they get the clean sheet. The week before, Kilman was dropped. Sice and Cody, we know, will play every game. So it seems a sensible option with Sice. And he's, again, like Cody's been getting attacking returns of late, but Sice usually in years gone by has been the more dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
We've even seen him on free kicks. Yeah, in the past, we've seen Sice on direct free kicks, which, again, like you don't see from your centre-backs much.
Yeah, absolutely. And Leeds, they're going to concede goals. Like it looks now like they'll be out. That's a big win for them, obviously, but they still look leaky.
Yeah. Let's move on to the midfield. And I've gone for a team here. This is my only representative of Leicester. And a couple of weeks back, when I was looking at this game week 30, I thought, in my free hit, I might go double or I might go triple Leicester. And actually, it's Leicester's form that has turned me away from thinking I'm going to use the chip this week, because I thought I could get really nice differentials. I could go Vardy, who's now injured. I could go Barnes. But Leicester just aren't playing great. And I look at it and think with the European involvement, they often look tired. Again, Brentford have looked good. So I think I'm going to go single Leicester. I don't even know if I don't use my chip, if I even transfer a Leicester player in now. But Barnes is the one that perhaps looks the most lively with Vardy out the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very strange season for Leicester City. They seem to be in transition at the moment. I think there'll be a lot of transfers happening there in and out during the summer. Harvey Barnes, absolutely unbelievable football. I love watching him, and he's a good FPL asset.
Yeah, he is. He's greedy, and I love greedy players. It's the best thing ever. Like a
course.
Mo Salah, he's greedy and he shoots on sight. Barnes is the same.
100%.
Let's have a look at my next one, which is Son. Like this player picks himself. Son, again, you're going to see later. I'm sure you're going to see another Spurs attack, and you probably know that's going to be. What I'd say about this team is budget isn't an issue this week. I struggled to spend all the money, and I think I was left with 4 million. So we'll move on from Son. We know why he's in the team. I've gone with him over Kulusevski. Again, money wasn't an issue. Next up, we've gone Saka. Again, Saka didn't return last time out, but for me, he's still Arsenal's most likely player to score.
Yeah.
Like you could argue Lacazette off the back of the penalty, but I can have both. And we'll get to my front line very shortly. Let's talk about Rafinha, my next pick, though, because Rafinha, I think he's had one double-digit return in FPL ever, which is crazy. The guy is so involved all the time. He is just a massive troll in FPL. He is a points dodger. At the weekend, he had an expected goal involvement of over 2. When a player has an expected goal involvement as good as Rafinha, over 2, you expect 15, 20 points. Well, he got 5, I think. Yeah, 4 or 5 with the assist in the 94th minute. Goals are surely on the horizon. He hit the woodwork twice, Dean.
Yeah, I think he's somebody you've got to persist with after a performance like that. Surely he's going to follow it up. We knew that if Leeds were going to turn the corner, it was going to be inspired by Rafinha. And I believe that performance was very much inspired by Rafinha. Like he's just got that verve about him, and he's so exciting to watch. I think you just got to stick with him from here to the end of the season. Leeds, you're going to have so much to fight for.
Yeah.
And surely he's going to play almost every minute of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, he's playing for that move or that contract.
Exactly,
so,
like we said last week. Yeah.
Increased performance. Yeah. And with Rafinha, you look at Leeds and think now Bamford is back in the team. And that brings me on to our front line. Like Bamford, Rafinha are going to click at some point.
Yeah.
So I've gone with Bamford as a bit of a differential move. And again, you've got to have fun if you're going for a free hit, and you don't want to go too templatey. Well, the fun pick this week for me would be Bamford. I think that Wolves defense, yes, it's been good, but I still think they can be got at. And I like seeing the way that Leeds lined up last time with Rodrigo and Bamford up front, Rafinha really involved. And I just think that front three could become quite useful. And Bamford didn't get any points last time out, but he looked quite sharp considering he's been out since forever.
Yeah, they're a totally different proposition when they've got Bamford in that team. And you just wonder, if they'd have had him available during the end of Bielsa's time, he'd probably still be their manager, because you just feel like he's so central to everything that they do. And all it took was a change of morale for Leeds, really, and they would have been absolutely fine. They could have made a decision over Bielsa's future at the end of the season. And in the end, just ran out of options, and he, was making decisions like dropping Rafinha, which just weren't helping him. But yeah, Bamford, absolutely so important to this team.
Yeah, guys, do get your questions in. We're about a minute away from coming to them. Let us know if you're looking at using your free hit chip or not. Let us know what your threshold is. Like, how many players do you think you need to get out this week to warrant not going for a free hit if you've still got one in your pocket? Look, up front, it's a boring pick next. I've gone for Lacazette. Slim pickings, really. Like, I'd love that to been Vardy for a bit of a fun punt, but Lacazette,
Why?
he did get his goal
Lacazette's
last time
returns are
out.
so good. They're so good.
Yeah.
Like he's so involved in everything they're doing.
Yeah, he ticks along, doesn't he? And he hasn't been scoring, but he's been assisting, and then of course he got the penalty last time out. I just find like his ceiling is fairly low. Like, in an ideal world, I perhaps would go, I don't know, Odegaard or Martinelli, but you just know Lacazette perhaps could go and get a brace, and you don't think Odegaard can go get a brace on any given game.
True, yeah. And look, in this game week, if you want players who are gonna play, right, and it's going to take an injury or an illness for Lacazette to not play, there's no way he's been left out of that team.
True. Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, and same reason as Son, Harry Kane, he'll be my captain going into game week 30. If I don't use a chip, he'll be my captain. He is someone, guys, if you don't have this game week, it'll be very scary not owning Harry Kane, because his effective ownership, which is your ownership plus your captaincy ownership, is going to be sky high, to the point where if he does do well, you'll just see a massive, massive red arrow unless your rest of your team really steps up. So for me, you've got a beeline towards Kane. Let's have a look at my subs. Fernandez picks himself on the bench, like for my goalkeeper's bench. Like, if Raya doesn't play, Fernandez comes in. It just makes sense to have cover there. Then I've gone Benrahma. I think he's the standout West Ham midfielder at the moment, just because he looks so good with bowing out the team. Finally, Cody, and then finally Cash. So Cody and Cash just covering. Wolves should Sice not play. Cash, I don't think any of these subs are going to get on, to be quite frank. Like, if they did, I think it would be Benrahma. So there we go. There's my 15. Get your questions in, guys. We'll get to as many as we can.
I like FPL Rivers' question there about Tony, because we talked about Tony on Friday, didn't they? And someone said they were going to get him in, and I thought, well, yeah, now Eriksen's there is that added impetus to put him in there, and he's on pens, and then obviously he returned again. So yeah, I guess it's slightly risky because you don't know how many minutes Bamford's going to play, maybe.
Yeah. I guess Bamford would have had a week's rest. If there was
played long enough that you can start having some belief in him, right?
I think so. And Tony, I just feel like he's so reliant on those penalties. So
yeah,
I'm not overly keen on Tony. And I just think that the double up of Bamford and Rafinha, should they score, and I think they will, you just think those two, if one gets the assist, the other gets the goal, and then you get a big green off the back of it. Nuclear Atoms has said about Jose Sarr would have been a more sensible pick since Wolves are a defensive team. So maybe Nuclear is thinking you would go double Wolves defence. Would that be something you'd consider, Dean? Double Wolves defence, or Brentford and Wolves, one of each?
I think I'd go Brentford and Wolves. I don't know if I've got enough faith in Wolves getting the clean sheet, to be honest. Like, that would be my concern. It's so hard to judge, right? Because they just had a really bad run. They've bounced back from it with 2 brilliant results and 2 clean sheets. So which way you take it? Do you now believe they've got momentum and can keep another clean sheet, or do they now concede? So it's a really tough one.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on that one either. I think I'm happy with the 1 Brentford and 1 Wolves, to be fair.
I think that's it.
Okay, let's see what Jasper's saying. Next game week onwards, Kulu or Barnes? Kulusevski or Barnes? I mean, Leicester are owed so many fixtures, so doubles will come, but it's a tough one because Kulusevski's been playing so well, and I don't think Spurs have got poor fixtures by any stretch.
No, absolutely, yeah. I do like Kulusevski, though. I like his style. I like the way that he puts balls in behind. I like the way he's already finding ways to link up with Kane. I think he's very, very tempting to get him in your team at the moment. And still surprised, to be honest, that Tottenham even ended up with this player, because I can't believe Juventus didn't find a way to make him part of the unit that was trying to win Serie A, or at least, make an unlikely push for Serie A. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be tempted to go Kulusevski to something different.
Yeah, I'm the same, I think. Desiree said, would it be better to take a -4 to field an 8-man team or use my last free hit? Desiree, I guess that's the sort of dilemma I'm in. I think I've got 7 or 8 players, but one of them is Luca Dean, who I don't think is going to be fit. I think he posted on Instagram yesterday something like, which alluded to the fact he was going to be out for a long while. Gosh, when you're stalking players' Instagrams just for injury news, I think I stalked Lindelof's wife once because she was due to give birth, and I just wanted to know like how close to labour she was to know if he was going to play in a double game week a couple of seasons ago. Ridiculous.
Proper sad.
Yeah, it really is. Like going through all these stories of food just to try and get something about baby news of a player that's rubbish anyway. So Luke's saying, is it worth a free hit with just 6-7 players like just paying 30 or save the chip? I think if you can get 7, you don't even need to think about it. Look, it's very much a case of quality over quantity. You could fill your team with, I don't know, Aston Villa and Brentford and get 11 versus 7, which have got triple Arsenal, triple Spurs, and then 1 or 2 other good players. Like, I'm all about quality over quantity on this week. So especially because the fixtures are underwhelming, I think if you can get 7, you're absolutely fine. If you can get 6, maybe a question it.
Yeah, look, so many people are going to be in the same boat, aren't they? Like that's the thing. Like, there's not many people that are going to be looking at this game week and looking forward to it, because it's so hard to play. 4 games. Has there ever been a game week with less games than this? Like, it must be the minimum you can have.
Yeah. I can't remember a time when we've had fewer than 4 at all.
No.
So yeah,
Illegal,
do consider that. Yeah. Guys, remember, we are going to get a fair few double game weeks as well. 33 should be a big one. 36 will be huge. 37 is likely to be double. And with that said, you'll get a higher ceiling if you're using a free hit those weeks. Sure, maybe you'll be able to field 7 double players anyway, but fill that with 11. That's an additional 6-7 performances, right? So I think wait for the doubles if you can. Guys, if you're watching, thank you for supporting the channel. Give us a subscribe if you're new. I've seen a few new names pop up, so I'm assuming you've given us a subscribe tonight, but do give us a like as well, because the more you like it, the more chance we have of having people join us in the chat, join our community, chat with you guys. And that's the reason why we're doing live streams for these. We're not recording them and uploading them every week. We're doing live streams because we want to interact with you. We want to do the questions, but help us get noticed and give us a like button, please, guys. Thank you. Let's move on, Dean, to one of my favorite parts of the show. This is your notebook.
Just looking at those questions there, and I'm going to talk about a Man United player and Nicholas Balfour saying, "How were the prawn sandwiches at Old Trafford?" Dean, tell you what, it was a really good atmosphere at Old Trafford at the weekend. It was a really entertaining game. Like, it wasn't of the highest quality, but both teams went for it, and it was a lot of fun to watch. And the player I want to talk about coming out of the game and assessing him really from our point of view is Paul Pogba. Because I always find it fascinating watching Pogba live as opposed to watching him on TV, because you can make a much better judgment of his flaws, of his frustrations, and of his strengths. And I've really got a much more rounded idea of where we're at with Pogba and why United fans love him, some love him, and why some are so frustrated by him. And honestly, people started moaning and groaning about him about 10 minutes into the game. He slows down play a lot, and a lot more than I actually realised through watching on TV. I must say, like, there's a lot of time, and I was reasonably high up. I was at the front of the second tier, so I had a good view of the overall pitch. And United obviously like to play more on the counter these days, and they like to just break quick. And so there'll be a couple of quick passes, and it'll go into Pogba. He's so slow a lot of the time. He just likes to slow things down, have a little look around, and then play a nice pass. I understood by the end of that game why fans become so frustrated. But there's a flip side to this. And anytime United was suddenly off the leash and just someone spotted something, it was Pogba. And he played these cross-field balls out of nowhere into space for Sancho to run onto, into Rashford's feet for him to try and do something. And he was the magic maker. Now, I guess my concern with Pogba as an FPL, I say, is he the pass before the assist? And a lot of the times, he probably is. But it just made me think and judge his game a little more. And I do think this is his last season at Man United. Personally, I think he'll join Juventus next season, particularly if Dybala leaves. I think that's the guy that they're going to start narrowing in on and seeing if they can get him. But if this is the end of his Old Trafford time, I think that he might want to go out with a bang. And I just wonder what he might be able to to do. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting way to assess him in the flesh, because he is a bit of a Marmite player. You love him or you hate him.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear that. I was shocked by Popper's haircut at the weekend. That was my headline. Apparently, his barber made a mistake, so they had to get rid of the whole thing.
Oh, an A-star made a mistake.
I mean, that was a Twitter rumor. God knows if it's true. But yeah,
I'll text him later and ask him. I thought it made him look older. I certainly thought it made him look older. But yeah, it was a strange one. But very interesting. Anyway, let's move on to the second player I want to talk about, and it's Dele Alli.
Yeah,
Dele Alli, I thought moving to Everton would give him a new lease of life, and it really hasn't. It really hasn't. And I've heard little whispers around the place about Dele Alli's, I guess, attitude would be not quite the right word, but there's just too much going on in the background right now with Dele Alli. And I'd say that maybe focus isn't great right now with Dele Alli. That's probably the nicest way I could probably put things. And I watched highlights of the Everton game and then read about the match, and some of the criticism of Dele Alli was pretty damning. And I'm just concerned really about where this is heading now for Dele Alli and what we're going to get out of him. Because I really hoped, to be honest, that we were heading towards a time when he was going to get a new lease of life, whereby we'd get him back into the England reckoning for the World Cup. Maybe by next season, he would be a player that we wanted to have again in our FPL teams, and that he was kind of that guy that had the link up we used to see with Harry Kane. But honestly, it just wasn't there. And I'm going to read you out a bit of the description of his performance. And this was in the Daily Telegraph today. And they said Dele Alli was introduced for a cameo in which he consistently mastered the art of evading 50-50 tackles. The volume had finally increased. The hostility was being directed at the players in blue, and Dele Alli's contribution crossed the line from poor to deeply unsettling. He is so bereft of confidence and the physicality required of this level. It is hard to imagine how and when Frank Lampard will next be able to use him. I mean, that is damning. I mean, that is as bad as it gets of an analysis in the middle of a match report of a player that's being brought into a team that's fighting for their lives. And it really makes you wonder, like, what Dele Alli's future is.
So bad that, like, when your team is struggling, you just want workers in the team. Like, as a minimum, you want players that can give it all. And he doesn't even seem to do that. And we know he's a bad trainer from just watching the All or Nothing, the Spurs documentary. 3 Spurs managers didn't want him in the team. It wasn't just one. So again, you question, like, okay, maybe it's bad luck. It's Mourinho that doesn't like him or whatever. But when you see 3 managers not want to play him, and then Frank takes the gamble but doesn't put him in the 11, I don't know what the future holds, because there's so much talent there. But, you know, if he can't manage to get in the Everton team, then you look at him and think only really a move abroad works for him.
This is it, isn't it? And you just wonder now about Everton and their character and whether they can turn things around from here, or if they actually do end up getting relegated. I mean, this team will actually be torn apart if they are relegated. And you wonder about players like Anthony Gordon, who have had such impressive breakthroughs. What happens for them? Does he go down and try and help them come back up? Or does somebody see him as an absolutely gem of a player to buy for next season? So, yeah, again, didn't Everton buy him on a permanent transfer? They have him on a deal, where they haven't actually paid much money for him yet. I think that they pay once he's racked up a certain number of appearances at the moment. I mean, not looking like they're going to be getting much, have to lay out much money there.
I think it's 15. And if he doesn't make 15, I think they don't pay a penny. It's something like that. But then if he does, I think it's a big fee. So, yeah.
I mean, this is a footballer that we were talking about really not that long ago being one day worth £100 million. Like, do you remember, like, Tottenham 2 years ago were like, Dele Alli is what an asset he is. And it absolutely hasn't ended out that way for him. But I think it's just really an epitome of where Everton are right now. And the final player I want to talk about as part of the notebook is Saeed Benrahma. Nice. This is a really strange one, I think, both in real life football and in FPL world, because like, you see this guy and he's brilliant. Like, as a technically gifted footballer, for being able to create something out of nothing, for, I don't know, vision, everything. He's unbelievable. But for some reason, it just doesn't click. And look, at the weekend, he got 2 assists, and it was a 2-1 win for West Ham over Aston Villa. And it was one of his better performances, no doubt about it. Yet David Moyes' assessment of him was, well, this is what he has to do, isn't it? He said he was better today, but you saw a lot of really good and a lot of really poor. So what we're trying to do is get good more regularly. If he keeps getting assists, and he played much better today than he has done, more of a team player today in making the goals, I was much happy with what I saw. So David Moyes still not won over at all by Benrahma at a time when Jarrod Bowen's struggling, Michail Antonio's now struggling. You know, you're going to be considering players like this at West Ham because you're presuming like they're going to be the difference makers, and yet not so sure. I don't know what it is with David Moyes and Benrahma, but he very rarely plays 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's for me, like it's the manager fit, and you think players like Benrahma probably don't want to go and play for a manager like David Moyes. Like two similar players in Benrahma and I don't know Pablo Fornals, like similar style positions, very different players. Now Moyes wants a Fornals. Moyes wants two Fornalses, but he's actually got one of each. And Benrahma, you must have watched him loads in the Championship, Dean. I didn't, but I know how highly regarded he was.
He was unbelievable. He's one of the best Championship players ever. Yeah.
He should be in a top 6 Premier League team, right? Easily. He wouldn't look out of place playing for a top 4 team, even, would he?
No, he could fit in. He's got all the skill and assets to come in. It comes down to type of characters that managers like, and who you can trust. It just feels like there might be a trust issue there between David Moyes and Benrahma, but we'll have to see. But yeah, that's my notebook for this week, mate.
Nice, really enjoyed that, mate. I look forward to this. Every Monday you can catch Dean's notebook. So do tune in. Make sure 7 p.m. Mondays and Fridays. We'll be back in 5 days' time on Friday for that deadline. I think we've got a Friday night deadline this week as well. So guys, let's move on to have a look at something that I've been checking out this weekend, which is my eye test report. I know we've spoken about Kai Havertz before. I don't know if he's made it into this section, but Kai Havertz was too good not to mention. And look, even if we use this 30 seconds to talk about Kai Havertz's goal, like what a unbelievable take that was. I like, don't get me wrong, people love the goal. Of course they do. But I'm not seeing it talked about as like sort of goal of the season. I genuinely think when you put together the assist and the goal, two worldy bits of play, I think it's goal of the season so far. Now, of course, I'm a biased Chelsea fan. Jorginho assist, my favourite player, combined with Havertz, again, one of my favourite players in the Chelsea shirt. Of course, I'm going to be like shouting this from the rooftops, but the technical ability on the assist and the goal for me makes it a like goal of the season contender. Dean, is this me being like my blinkered sort of Chelsea vision?
No, it's not, mate. I mean, obviously, I was at Old Trafford for that Ronaldo screamer. And you love to see goals like that, and you just presume that that's going to be the goal of the weekend. And then you see the Chelsea goal, and you're like, "Well, that's better. That is a better goal." Like it was unbelievable, and you could see how shattered Dan Burn was as he lay on the ground. Like he's just managed to keep Chelsea quiet somehow for almost 90 minutes. He's had a great game. If you get out of Stamford Bridge with a clean sheet as Newcastle, you are over the moon. And in the 89th minute, he plucks that out of the air and has that deft flick past the keeper. There is barely anyone else in the world that can do that. Not under the pressure of that, not just in the spur of the moment like that, at that stage of the game. Talked about it here before. Kai Havertz, absolute genius. He's got such an amazing career ahead of him. And he's one of your best transfers into your team of the season. I don't even know what you did before 4 weeks ago, but to get him in a couple of weeks ago was a hell of a signing.
The best thing about Havertz was not many managers went there because he didn't double in 29 this week and because he doesn't play in 30. So, of course, yes, he had to double in 28, but managers were worried about rotation and things like that. But if you watch Chelsea as much as I do, you knew rotation wasn't a risk. And Havertz is a mid-price midfielder, guys, playing as the number 9 for a team that do score a fair few. Like, as soon as this blank game week 30 is over, Chelsea go on a great fixture run, try and get Kai in your team. Like, it was telling that Mason Mount was subbed and Kai was given 90. That's how highly regarded Havertz is at the moment. Even after a run of successive starts, Havertz isn't getting subbed. He has to be on that pitch. He's our best player at the moment, our best attacking player. So do check out Havertz and see if you can squeeze him into your team come game week 31, guys. Let's move on to Odegaard. Now, this is like, of course, we all talk about Saka. Many talk about Lacazette. Martinelli had a lot of love at one point in the season, but Odegaard is ticking along nicely and clocking up big chances. Now, they don't all turn into goals, these assists he's creating, these big chance assists, but he does get rewarded very well in the bonus point system for it. It's why KDB gets rewarded so well in bonus points, because he's so involved. Key passes are rewarded, big chances created are rewarded. And I just think Odegaard, if you are looking at a double up on Arsenal midfield, I'd look there. Like, he's absolutely crucial to the way Arteta wants to play, and everything just goes through him. He's even slightly higher up the pitch of late. His set pieces are good. What a player he is, Dean. You would have had your eyes on him when he was at Sociedad. And I know the guys at Ranks FC think of him very highly, but he's got pedigree and he's definitely one to keep an eye on for maybe next season even. But the assists will come in plenty.
Yeah. Look, I was actually a little bit skeptical when they signed him permanently, because I was like, obviously he had a bit of time to settle last season. I didn't see quite enough that convinced me last season that he was going to be that game changer that they needed in that position. I was like, I don't know, you might be better off. There might be better options out there that are already in the Premier League. But Arteta was adamant that Odegaard was the fit, and like, he'd had time to see him up close. He loved that Odegaard was enjoying himself and he wanted to stay. And he's been such a good signing. He is such a good fit for this team. And now really Arsenal, what they have to do is find who is the number 9 for this team. Because if they get that right, then this team could fly. They really could. I mean, we're already looking at the proposition right now of them making the top 4. If they can qualify for the Champions League this season, it opens up a new level of strikers that are going to be willing to come into Arsenal next season. And if they nail it, if they get that right, and you've got Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe pulling the strings behind them, look, Arsenal will cement themselves in that top 4. But Odegaard, yeah, he is pulling the strings.
I put Odegaard in the category of amazing young players that Real Madrid let go and perhaps shouldn't too early. Ian Robben, Hakimi, Higuain, Odegaard, these players are like... Nuclear Atoms is in the chat. Nuclear Atoms is a massive Real Madrid fan, watching all the way from Bangladesh tonight. Let us know what you think, Nuclear. But I know the chat are quite split on the idea of Odegaard being an FPL asset. Jasper says he's an Arsenal fan. Odegaard's incredible, one of the best 10s in the league. And yeah, I mean, he's one of the only 10s in the league in terms of starting 11s. Like, Coutinho's playing as a 10, Odegaard, but that 10 role seems to be out of fashion a little bit in the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah, it's gone fallen a bit flat, hasn't he? Ali Mack says, I think he assists the assister too much. And that is a point, like, that, you know, that is part of it. But I also think that he crops up in such good areas that there are games when he'll return with doubles and, you know, maybe double assists and a goal, or even to get into it. He's just such an important player to the way that this system works.
Yeah, FPL Rivers made a good point. And this was my slight issue, was Martinelli is better than Odegaard as an FPL asset. And look, possibly he is. But what I would say is, should Smith Rowe go on a run of games where he starts scoring goals for fun again, Martinelli will probably be the one that makes way. Odegaard and Saka aren't going anywhere, and it will be Martinelli's place under threat. So if you're looking for an absolutely nailed 90 every week between now and the end of the season, we can safely say Odegaard will be that guy. We probably can't win Martinelli, but sure, get him and sell him when he's dropped. But definitely a little bit of a risk. And
it's unbelievable, really, the value that you're talking about there out of having Havertz and Odegaard. The value of those guys in FPL is unbelievable. Yeah. Like, Odegaard's 5.5 million. It's
so cheap.
Kai Havertz is playing a number 9 for Chelsea. Like, that. Now that we're at that stage of the season when you've had time to assess and you're looking at the run-in, and you want teams that have got a lot to play for, and okay, like Chelsea probably just going to finish 3rd, but ultimately Kai Havertz is going to be that number 9 for the rest of the season. And the other thing with Arsenal is they've got a lot to play for. So you want to be getting on at least 2 of their players.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. A lot to play for, and also no midweek football, which is massive. Like, a lot of these clubs will have it, and the Arsenal just get a full week on the training ground. Nuclear says the only reason we sold Odegaard at Real Madrid is, Modric and Kroos's place. Sure, it's tough, but you'd think loan him out for another season if you have to. Don't sell him. But look, Real Madrid make those key decisions. They made it on Robben and Hakimi, for example, and look what players Robben and Hakimi went on to be, or currently are. Let's have a look at, finally, just want to touch on Liverpool very quickly, and this is Diaz. Diaz is legit a proper FPL option now, guys. Like, he seems to have taken Jota out the team, Mane playing 9, Diaz on left. I watch Liverpool games now, and I just think Diaz is the biggest threat. Sure, on a par with Salah's always going to be a threat, but Diaz has just fitted in so well. And I think come game week 31, get him on your radar.
So scary. Very few players come into the league and make this much of an impact this quickly. Bruno Fernandes obviously did it at Man United.
Yeah.
Can't think of that many others, especially in recent times, that have come in and made the place their own. I mean, we knew with Bruno Fernandes that he was going to go straight into that team. With Diaz, we didn't know it. I thought he was going to spend this season just finding his feet, getting the odd sub appearance. It became very clear to me from people that cover the club that no, this guy is making such an impression right now in training that Klopp's thinking of getting him in there even quicker. And we've all seen now why. Like, he's brave, he's smart, he's so agile, he's direct, he knows where the goal is, he can assist, he's got it all. And it makes you wonder, like, at a time when Mo Salah's future is being debated and Liverpool not caving into his contract demands, maybe it's because things like this are happening. And Jota, they found a role for him and they're fine. Diaz, he comes in and they're fine. Maybe they're starting to look for, the next generation of front three.
Yeah, lowering that average age. I like it a lot, knowing Firmino, Mane and Salah are all kind of peaked at the same time. Loads of you got comments on Diaz. Jasper saying he brought him in this week. Nice with that very brave header. Diaz is so brave, says Luke. Yeah, he really has been. He's absolute baller. Duck to water, I think we can say about Diaz in the Premier League. Guys, we're coming up next is the part of the show where we want you guys to be heavily involved. And I love seeing your opinions on this. We're often split. There's nothing wrong with that. Give us a like before we get there. So if you like the channel, please do give us the thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribing, guys, we'd love to get to 720 by the end of the show. Like, 2 of you watching that aren't currently subscribed, give us that subscribe, hit that button. And now let's have a look at our FPL visa.
Yeah, we've reached a big stage of the season and there's a lot of transfer conundrums we're all going to be faced with. So Gianni's here to help us out with 9 names this week that we should be considering. And look, it's going to be accept, reject, or delay on these decisions. It's FPL visa time. We've got 3 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 attackers, and we're going to fire through them. And Gianni's going to give us his wisdom. And the first one that we're going to start with is Wolves defender Connor Cody. Accept, reject, or delay.
I think because he's got the game week 30 fixture and because he's finally scoring goals, Cody was so goal shy. I'm going to say accept because we're in game week 30. Long term, do you want Cody? I'm not so sure. But as a short term fix, he does look like the standout. I mean, I kind of put Sice in my free hit draft, but it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other on those 2. So yeah, I'd go for it. Yeah,
Cody's the rock on which that team is built is absolutely immense, and every team in the Premier League wishes they had a player like Connor Cody. Maybe they wish they actually had Connor Cody, to be honest, because he's absolutely superb. FPL River says a delay. Nuclear Atom says delay. Desire, Ali Mac, Punter, all accepting Connor Cody. I think I would be accepting too. I'd accept anyone in my team, to be honest. Right, let's move on to Arsenal defender Ben White. Accept, reject, or delay.
Do you know what? The price point is lovely on Ben White. Like, you've got to spend 5.3-ish on Tierney and Gabriel. You can get Ben White for 4.5. And I genuinely think he might be my transfer in this week. Knowing Luca Dean has got injured. I'm selling Luca Dean at, 5.1, 5.2. I'm saving 0.6, 0.7 by bringing Ben White in. Like, that's not a downgrade for me. So Ben White will tick along nicely, and I just love Arsenal having something to play for. So double Arsenal defence for me might be back on the radar. I've got Ramsdale, I've got Saka. I'm not going to be able to ever stretch to Lacazette. My team isn't set up well for him. Therefore, I think I go Ben White and I accept. He's looked really good.
Yeah, it's weird. Why is he so cheap? Like, what were they thinking with that? Like, why
he's priced as a Brighton player still, isn't he? I guess they've priced him based on your Brighton defenders.
Absolutely, yeah, fair point. Right, let's move on. The third defender is Joel Matip, and we actually had a comment on, I think, was talking about his pass at the weekend to Diaz. Yeah, Luke said brilliant ball from Matip. I think it was for the Diaz goal. Don't know if that'll sway you, mate, but are you accept, reject, or delay on Matip?
Do you know what, the commentator, I can't remember who it was for Sky Sports, said, "Oh, what an assist from Trent," because it was a Trent-style pass, and he was sort of on the halfway line, slightly to the right. But But look, Matip's not going to do that every week. He has
No.
been amazing for Liverpool this season, but I still, if you go in Liverpool defence, I only look at those fullbacks. I'm not one for Van Dijk, some are. I'm certainly not one for Matip for the same reason. Spend the extra and get the fullbacks. I would reject that.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be too much love coming in for Matip. Obviously, great footballer, great Liverpool player. Never really seen him as a great FPL asset. Right, let's move on. Sorry, Nuclear says reject. We need to focus on Liverpool attackers. Yeah, that's a very fair point. Midfielders then, let's move on. And we're going to start with Maddison. Where are you sitting with Maddison right now? Very hard player to judge.
When he's on form and fit, like he's an amazing FPL asset because he's greedy, he's involved with everything, the set piece threat. If Leicester have got Vardy in the team, Maddison is a different prospect altogether. But no Vardy, in and out the team with fitness issues, the midweek games on Thursdays. For that reason, I just can't consider Maddison. And you could spend similar money if you do want to go to a Leicester midfielder. You'd probably go Barnes on current form. So I would be delaying Maddison. But if you'd asked me this a month ago, I probably would be saying, come game week 30, I'll be accepting him. But no, delay for me.
Yeah, Jasper delay, Punter delay, FPL River delay, Nick reject, Ali Mac accepts. A lot of doubles due. Okay, so Ali Mac taking a different approach there. Fair play. The next two are pretty quick fire, to be honest. Odegaard, I think we know where you're going with that.
Yeah, thumbs up to Odegaard. Yeah, I like him a lot. If you've got space for him in your team.
Yeah, everyone just give us thumbs up emojis for that one. And the next one, look, Ben Rama, difficult choice here. We've just tried to weigh it up there in the notebook a little bit. But if you were to take the punt this week, what would you be saying to Ben Rama? Would you be accepting him, rejecting him, or would you delay this a bit longer?
If they get knocked out to Sevilla, knowing that there's injuries at West Ham and he looks like he's going to be starting games and they do play in game week 30, I think I would accept him. You'll notice he was in my free hit draft. He was on my bench, but I just think that he might have that X factor that West Ham sometimes need to break poor teams down. Like West Ham often scrape through 1-0. They need one goal to beat the likes of a Burnley or the likes of a Brentford. And I just think Ben Rama can provide the X factor, especially with no Bowen, especially when Antonio is out the team as well. I think I would go there. But again, if they're involved in Europe, I wouldn't want to go there. Same reason as Leicester. The squad's not big enough to play twice a week.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be too many people desperate to get Ben Rama in there either. Right, let's get to the strikers. This is what really matters. This is the guys that make us all take notice. Three big ones here as well. So let's start with Lacazette. Accept, reject, or delay. What would you be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably slightly more pro Lacazette than me, but I think you've convinced me. Like, you're right, as points do tick along, and it's just a team setup. Most teams have got Harry Kane, they've got their premium forward, and there's only one of them in their team, and then they've got two budget guys like a Weghorst or a Broja like me. Some have got Jimenez though, and for those that have got Jimenez, I would consider that sort of sideways move in the same sort of price band of a 7.5 forward. Therefore, if your team is set up well for it, I would go Lacazette because the game week 30 fixture is all right.
Yeah, one of the best all-round centre forwards in the Premier League at the moment. I think the way he brings people into play and also can dispatch penalties, it looks like, with relative ease. Okay, so we're getting on there. Nuclear accept. Luke going back to Ben Rama saying he would accept him if West Ham go out of Europe. FPL River Lacazette reject due to team structure. I understand what he's saying because he's not scoring that many goals, but I just feel like his goal involvement is still there. Anyway, Ivan Toney, we've got. Did I say Ivan Toney? No, we're moving on to him now.
Ivan Toney's I think we'll be split with the chat on this. I'm going to say, and I know someone suggested I didn't go for Bamford in my free hit. I went Toney instead. I'm going to say reject on Toney. I just feel like he is so reliant on penalties and for FPL points, and they're not going to get penalties every week. Now, Eriksen in the team, sure, that makes Toney a little bit more attractive. But I still don't like it. I don't mind him as a footballer. In terms of FPL, I don't watch games. I think Toney deserved to get a haul today and perhaps didn't. He looks a little bit anonymous at times, and I just don't think he's involved enough. I'm rejecting Toney. I think he's been in my team for about 2 weeks this season.
Yeah, I would be tempted to say delay, by delay I mean literally delay until May, because Brentford's last 3 games of the season are Southampton at home, Everton away, Leeds at home. And I feel
Nice.
that might be a little run where Ivan Toney just picks up some really nice points right at the end of the season. So maybe delay him until then. Nuclear says, except because of Ericsson, he isn't dropping back. Jasper says not many other options. Yeah, absolutely true. He's always going to play for Brentford. Like last one, mate, a guy that I saw bag a hat-trick at the weekend. In the weeks build up to that game, I said Ronaldo should absolutely not be an FPL option for anybody right now. So of course he scored a hat-trick. Where would you be with Ronaldo right now, except reject or delay?
I think you were bang on. I would still delay on Ronaldo. I really would. Like, United's fixtures are terrible. Sure, Ronaldo scored a hat-trick, and sure, look, a world-class player, our greatest goal scorer ever, potentially. He can do that any game, but he still can go quiet on successive games, and he's just not been consistent enough this season. Also, I'm just not sold on Man United. And I know they played well against Spurs, but the sort of game that was suited United, it was like a basketball game. It was end-to-end.
Yeah.
They'll have cagey games where they're playing against low-block teams. And for me, I don't see United scoring bags, and I certainly don't see Ronaldo scoring hat-tricks. I don't think it was Ronaldo going to score another hat-trick this season.
No, I mean, it was his first hat-trick, I think, for Man United since 2008. Might be the last hat-trick he ever scores for Man United, to be honest. Who knows? But United don't have a bad run of games coming up. It's the one thing I would consider after the blank game week. Leicester, Everton, Norwich for Man United coming up. And it might be...
I thought it was harder than that.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And then after that, Arsenal coming... Like, their running isn't that bad, to be honest with you. And Ronaldo could end the season with a burst. Who knows?
Yeah, fair. I still think I'm delaying on Ronaldo, but it'd be interesting to get everyone else's take on that because, like, again, it's just fitting in two premiums. Like, I'm guessing
that's
everyone
the problem,
wants Harry Kane.
Yeah, I think if your option is going to be Kane or Ronaldo, you're probably still going to go Kane, aren't you? Like, Ronaldo's a moments player. He will come up with big goals at big times. He'll come up with doubles and hat-tricks or pens, whatever it is. But you don't know where they're coming. And while Harry Kane hasn't had great output this season, you still think that every week there's a chance he will score.
Yeah, he's really, really smashing it at the moment, Harry Kane. So involved. Arguably, this is as good as he's been in a Spurs shirt for a couple of seasons in terms of the last month or so. So good. Guys, see if you've got any more questions. We'll get to as many as we can. If you want to get your comments in, we'd love to answer them. Guys, I'm hoping you're liking and subscribing to the channel. I don't know if we've got to that 720 mark. I can't see the YouTube numbers. So do let us know in the chat. Guys, of course, we're here every Friday, 7 p.m. Don't forget that we've got a Friday deadline this week. So again, you'll be chatting to us just almost alongside that. You may watch your deadline streams before 7 o'clock, but we'll be here between 7 and 8. So hopefully previewing that weekend ahead and also looking alongside that Friday night. So yeah, get a like in, guys. Get a subscribe in. It's been brilliant having you today. Just want to thank you all for watching. What is our favourite comment of the stream so far, Dean? If we had a favourite in, I mean, it's been good having so many newbies in the chat.
Yeah, I like everyone that usually agrees with me, so that always goes down well. FPL River, obviously I take transfer advice from, so the tips there always go down well. I'm trying to think what stood out from today.
Is it on screen at the moment? Is it Panit? Gianni has better hair than Dele and Pogba.
Oh, yeah, I did see that earlier. I mean, well, Pogba's got no hair, and Dele's probably pulling his out at the moment, the way he's playing.
Yeah, well, at least I bet they spend a lot more on a barber than I do. That's for sure. What's the hashtag there? CGA. Am I that old that I don't know the abbreviations?
Chasing green arrows.
Sorry, I thought it was slang. I was like, what is CGA about hair? Hashtag CGA.
No, it's not a hair pun, mate. No hair pun.
Definitely time to go on that one, guys. It's been awesome having you. As you go, just if you can, give us a comment. Let us know any feedback on the show. Not in the chat, but actually in the comment section below. I'd be really interested to know if you like the format, if you would like to see any changes. This show is here for you guys, so we'll definitely listen to those suggestions every Monday, every Friday at 7 p.m. But Dean, thank you for your time today. Good luck for the rest of this game week, everyone, and we'll see you on Friday.